Happy 4th out there to Independence Day, to all those out there that wish that freedom is something that's earned, not a birthright. Although it could be a birthright if people would just wake up and smell the roses. But look at that crack. Now this isn't one of my cracks, but this is a crack. And the reason for this crack is because people out there have been convinced by people that don't know any better that the best way to do taping of joints is to use that fiber mesh roll tape instead of paper tape. Now, this is paper tape here. That's what you're supposed to use for wallboard. Sheetrock, gypsum board, any number of names, basically plasterboard. That's what you use. The fiber tape that people think that they are cheating the system with is for concrete board, cement board, basically a board that's actually made from mesh, and then it's filled with some kind of product and to make it sturdy. Whereas the sheetrock is used paper on both sides of the plaster, and that's what keeps it straight. And you use that with the compound that comes in various buckets. I am partial to the blue lid stuff. Just because, I don't know, if it's lighter, it has less water in it, and it seems to have less chunks in it. And I've been using it for a while. So essentially you're going to do is you're going to put your mud in the joint that goes between the sheetrock and another piece of sheetrock, whether it's a corner or whether it's two pieces attaching to each other like these, which all have another coat. And here's a corner going to the ceiling. Not really intended to go onto wood. It might crack away from wood eventually. But this is what happens when you use the mesh tape. Now, the reason why so many people love and swear by it is that it's kind of sticky. So it will stick to the surface of the wallboard, and then you go over it with a coat, and then you go over with again the coat, and you consider it done because you feel like you don't need to do 3 coats. This is what happens when it's too thick. When you're putting it on too thick, it cracks when it dries out, and then you're going to have to recoat that again. But that's me. I did that. But I can recoat that with more mud. I'm trying to fill up a hole. So at any rate, it's less sticky, so they don't think they can bypass, a coat. And what will happen eventually, and it may not happen in all places, but any place where there's stress on the drywall, it's going to crack. And whereas the paper tape is less apt to crack, unless it's not bonded well. See, here is another mistake that is my doing, is that I didn't get enough mud down on the first coat. And so essentially what it has done is bubbled up off the surface. And the only way really to fix that is to cut that out and put down some new tape. The only place it's happened is right here. Could have been tired. Good luck, chances are I was tired. Working over my head is not my virtue. And I've recoated that, and it just doesn't fly. It's never going to get better. The only way to get it better is to cut it out with a knife, retape it, and then that'll be that. So I'm on my second coat, except for right here where I'm going to have to cut that out with a knife and retape it. So far I've gone through 4 buckets of mud on this illustrious taping job, and I got 2 more buckets, and I sure hope that's it. That's the opening. I got a lot of sanding to do. I ordered something off Amazon that's supposed to hook up to my shop vac to reduce dust. We'll see. We'll see if that works. I'm skeptical, but I'll try anything. So I am going to tape the second coat, and I wanted to show you my tools. So this is my hawk. Now some people like to use a little pail, but I find that holding the hawk this way is a lot easier than holding a bucket with my wrist turned sideways. So those people who have carpal tunnel will appreciate a hawk versus the bucket or pan that many people use. The next thing is the standard thing everyone should have, of course, is the 5-inch blade. You'd use this for taping the initial coat and putting on mud onto the wallboard on just about everything you do. I have a small one for getting into tight corners. There it is. And I thought I could use this for putting on less mud in corners, but it tends to slide off. I don't have the same kind of maneuverability with this one as I do the 5-inch. And then the last one is the corner. So here's the corner trowel. It is used for corners. You put the tape mud up, you fold your tape in half, you put it into the corner, and you run this down it either way. Gets it tight into the corner. When it dries, you do it again. Gives you a nice corner. And then if you wish, you can then feather out the 2 sides with a little bit more mud or not. So those are essentially the tools of the trade. And there are more tools. You can go to, oh yeah, this one here I didn't show you was, this is an 8-inch blade, and then you can go to a 12-inch to get a wider feather. And a feather just means that you're spreading out your wallboard compound out further from the joint to make it less visible. And it just depends on how good you want it to look and how much you want to give up desperately. So this side I'd share. By the time you see this, the 4th will probably be over with. And of course that's a nice jazz station I've listened to. So out for now. Enjoy.